Hi and welcome back to the channel. I did something exciting over the weekend. I actually attended a proper football match. Now that's the first time I've been for absolutely ages because of the lockdown obviously, and I'm going to tell you all about it today. As you know, since COVID hit, football's been taking place in empty stadiums, and it's led to this eerie quiet in the stadiums. Let's be honest, football without fans is weird, and you also get to hear all the terrible noises all the players make, especially when they get tackled. So I was lucky enough to attend the Carabao Cup Final at Wembley. So this is one of the government's test events to see what it would be like to get fans back in the stadiums, to see if it would be safe and if it would even work. Now, being a Spurs fan myself, I was thrilled to get tickets, and this was a big game against Man City in our first cup final for ages. So before the event, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I mean, this would be the first time that I'd been close to so many people at once. 8,000 people is a lot compared to the 2 or 3 or 4 that we've been used to for the past year. More importantly, would there even be an atmosphere with 8,000 fans in what is a 90,000 seater stadium like Wembley? Would it be really annoying wearing a mask the whole time? Would we be allowed to eat and drink inside the stadium? Would we stand a chance against Man City? Now, we're not going to talk about the result or the performance because, well, we were boring and uninspiring and we lacked adventure and we lost. Also, why did we get rid of Mourinho 6 days before a cup final? A cup that he's won 4 times. Anyway, let's not focus on that. Let's focus on what it was like to be around that many humans again. So there were 8,000 fans allowed into the stadium, but honestly it felt like a lot more. So they only actually filled half of the stadium, but the rest of the stadium they let us sit near each other with a few gaps of seats in between. So I guess you're wondering, how did I even get tickets to this? It was actually the easiest part, so I filled in a form on the Wembley website and I got the tickets. There was a ballot and it turns out they were even free, so that was great. And I was excited, I was intrigued, I wanted to see what it would be like to attend the first big event in this country for over a year. So before entering the grounds, we had to prove that we didn't have COVID. And apparently in Miami, they've been doing the same thing, except they're using sniffer dogs to test if people don't have COVID. How mad is that? And apparently they're pretty good at it.
Like you see here, where we take the dog and do initial human body screening for triage, right? The dog is a tool, right? It's a biosensor, mobile detection device. As you can see, walking around, he's easy to move through crowds. And the idea is that you can use the dog in concert with other tools to create a full program, and that's what the Miami Heat are doing.
Unfortunately, we relied on boring, plain old science to prove that we didn't have COVID, so we had to do a negative lateral flow test only 24 hours before the event. We also had to do a PCR test before and 5 days after. That was mainly to check if there were any new strains of COVID being spread around this event. Also, if you need to know how to do a lateral flow test, check out my other video, link below. So that was the first big difference to a normal match, the fact that we had to prove that we didn't have COVID. And it seems like this is going to be the way forward. And yeah, it kind of made sense. It worked, it was simple, and it was an easy way of just making sure that everyone in the stadium didn't have COVID. So there was me getting all excited on cup final day. I wanted to make sure I was there on time, make sure I was early. We were told to get there at least an hour before the event to make sure we get all the COVID checks done. But in typical fashion, I was stuck on a train at a red signal on the Met line, and I only just made it literally in my seat 1 minute before kickoff. So thanks Metline, I forgot how great you were. So once I actually did get in my seat, everyone was seated with a few gaps in between each other, and even if you're in the same social bubble as someone else, you had to leave a gap. And as you can see, the stadium on one half was empty, but our half still had plenty of fans. Spurs fans were on one side, Man City fans on the other, and I was actually in the section where we weren't meant to wear club colours, and that was a bit annoying because I was hoping to bust out my Spurs kit, which I haven't worn for over a year. But luckily, all the fans in my section seemed to be Spurs fans. So the only other difference between a normal match was that the stewards were actually checking if people were wearing their masks properly. So the typical thing happened where some people only covered their mouth and not their nose, and some people wore it as some sort of chin/throat defender. How do people not get it by now? It's been a year. It's really not that hard to wear a mask. Is this how you wear it? Is this how it's done? No, I think it's like this. Oh, I just can't breathe. I can't breathe with the mask on. I just can't do it. So in case you didn't realise by now, this is how you're meant to wear a mask. So the other thing I wasn't sure about before the event was whether we'd be able to eat and drink there, but luckily that was all normal. So there weren't as many kiosks obviously, but we were able to get some good food and drink, so I was happy with that. And the other good thing about the event, which I didn't really think of, was that there wasn't a massive queue to get into the toilet at half time, and also meant that we were able to leave and make a quick exit at the end of the game. Well, because we lost. Hello darkness, my old friend. So looking back on it, I mean, the weird thing was that it really felt normal to slip back into the non-COVID world, to be in a stadium with that many people in. Although it wasn't full, it was still a lot more than I'd been used to. And although I'd expected things to be really weird and for people not to follow the rules, that kind of thing, it did actually work out pretty well, and I enjoyed it. I think it was a success, and hopefully following the event there won't be a huge spike in COVID cases, because that might set things back. But given that everyone tested negative, and a lot of the people may have had vaccinations as well, myself included, hopefully that means that this won't be some huge super spreader event, and hopefully this might mean the way back to normal. I really think it showed that this kind of thing works, and hopefully everyone can get on board, and hopefully this means that we'll be back to normal in the next few months, and I can't wait for that. Now, I've also managed to apply for some cheeky tickets to the Brit Awards, so I'm kind of hoping that's the next event I get to go to, but there's going to be a ballot, so who knows what will happen. If I do, I'll definitely do a video on that. So that was pretty much it. That was my experience of going to my first football match in a year during COVID, and I actually enjoyed it, other than the result obviously. So hopefully that means that we'll get fans back in stadiums for the Euros this summer, and also for the European Super League the Premier League this August. And with that, I think we'll wrap things up. So thanks for joining me today, and remember to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Laters. Is this how you wear it? Do you think anyone noticed my haircut, by the way? I think you did a good job. Bad.